Shri Advaita Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, we're going to continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 4, Chapter 8, Text 8. Jai Uttan Padasya
Jai Utanpadasya
Suniti Suruchistayo
Suniti Suruchistayo
Suruchi Preyasi Patyur
Suruchi
Preyasi Patyo
Netara Yatsuto Dhruvaha.
Netara Yatsuto Dhruva.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. King Uttanpad had two queens named Suniti and Suruchi. Suruchi was much more dear to the king. Suniti, who had a son named Dhruva, was not his favorite. The great sage Maitreya wanted to describe the pious activities of the kings. Priyavrata was the first son of Swayambhuva Manu and Uttanpad was the second. But the great sage Maitreya immediately began to speak of Dhruv Maharaj, the son of Uttanpad, because Maitreya was very eager to describe pious activities. So Lord Brahma's son is Manu. Manu has two very qualified sons, Priyavrata and Uttanpad. Priyavrata is the older son, Uttanpad is the younger son, and Uttanpad's son is Dhruv Maharaj. Dhruv Maharaj is famous even till today as a great devotee of the Lord. The incidents in the life of Dhruv Maharaj are very attractive for devotees. From his pious actions, one can learn how one can detach himself from material possessions and how one can enhance one's devotional service by severe austerities and penances. By hearing the activities of pious Dhruva, one can enhance one's faith in God and can directly connect with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus one can very soon be elevated to the transcendental platform of devotional service. So hearing about the devotees, the pastimes of the devotees, hearing about the Lord is not same as hearing about some materialist person. When we are hearing about the devotees of the Lord, when we are hearing about the Lord, it helps us to strengthen our faith, our devotion in Krishna, helps us to get more attached to Krishna, helps us to further revive our relationship with Krishna, helps us to get out of this material world. So there is a difference in hearing about the pastimes of the devotees and pastimes of ordinary people. The example of Dhruv Maharaj's austerities can immediately generate a feeling of devotional service in the hearts of the hearers. So Dhruv Maharaj is such a great devotee just by hearing about his activities. It can revive the devotion in our heart. Ekada Suruche Putram
Ekada Suruche Putram
Ankam Aropya Lalayan
Ankam Aropya Lalayan
Lalayan
Uttamam Naru Rukshantam
Uttamam
Naru
Dhruvam Raja Bhayanandata.
Dhruvam
Dhruvam Raja Bhayanandata.
Once upon a time, King Uttanpad was patting the son of Suruchi, Uttam, placing him on his lap. Dhruv Maharaj was also trying to get on the king's lap, but the king did not very much welcome him. So King Uttanpad, he had two wives, Suruchi and Suniti. He was very enamored by the wife Suruchi. He did not like much the wife Suniti. Suniti's son's name was Dhruv and Suruchi's son's name was Uttam. So once King Uttanpad he was sitting on the throne and Uttam was sitting on his lap, and the king was showing a lot of affection for him. And so now, of course, Dhruv is also a small boy, and he's seeing that his father is showing so much affection to his brother, so he also wants to get some affection from him. So he was also trying to sit on his father's lap. But the king, because he's not so attached to Suniti, he was not, he was not encouraging Dhruv to come and sit on his lap. Tatha chirikshamanam tam
तथा चिकीर्षमाणं तं
sapatnyastanayam dhruvam
Sapatnyastanayam dhruvam
suruchi shranvato rajna
suruchi shrinvato rajna
sershiyam ahati garvita.
स ईर्ष्यं गर्विता
ahati garvita.
While the child Dhruv Maharaj was trying to get on the lap of his father, Suruchi, his stepmother, became very envious of the child, and with great pride, she began to speak so as to be heard by the king himself. The king, of course, was equally affectionate toward both his sons, Uttam and Dhruv. So he had a natural inclination to take Dhruv as well as Uttam on his lap. But because of his favoritism towards his queen Suruchi, he could not welcome Dhruv Maharaj despite his feelings. So King Uttanpad, he also has affection to Dhruv, but his affection for his wife Suruchi is much greater than that. And because he does not want to hurt her feelings, he is not showing his affection to Dhruv. King Uttanpad's feeling was understood by Suruchi, and therefore, with great pride, she began to speak about the king's affection for her. This is the nature of woman. If a woman understands that her husband regards her as a favorite and is especially affectionate to her, she takes undue advantage. These symptoms are visible even in such an elevated society as the family of Swayambhuva Manu. Therefore, it is concluded that the feminine nature of woman is present everywhere. So this is bringing out the envious nature of a woman, that if she's sure that the husband is too affectionate to her, then she takes advantage of it. We see that also in the story of Lord Ramachandra, how Kekai took advantage of her of King Dashrath's affection for her. So we should try not to do this. Try not to take undue advantage. Navatsa nirpate dishnyam
न वत्स निपतेक्षणं
bhavan arodhum arhati
भवान् आरूढम्
na grahito maya tat yat tvam
Nāyatvam
kukshav api nripatmajaha.
कुक्षो अपि
Nipatmajaha.
Queen Suruchi told Dhruva Maharaj, "My dear child, you do not deserve to sit on the throne or on the lap of the king. Surely you are also the son of the king, but because you did not take your birth from my womb, you're not qualified to sit on your father's lap." Queen Suruchi very proudly informed Dhruv Maharaj that to be the king's son was not the qualification for sitting on the lap or throne of the king. Rather, this privilege was dependent on one's having taken birth from her womb. In other words, she indirectly informed Dhruv Maharaj that although he happened to be born of the king, he was considered an illegitimate son because of his birth from the womb of the other queen. Doesn't sound very nice, no?
Yeah, very rude.
Yeah, very mean. And
Yeah.
in that time, like,
Yeah, saying this to a child.
Mm. A child who's 5 years old, and this is like really qualified personalities. Really, really up there, really up there. You're rulers of the universe. Balosi Bhatanatmanam
Balo Ati
Anyastri Garbha Sambritam
Anya Garva
Sarvasambritam
Nunam Veda Bhavan Yasya
Nuna
Nuna
Vidya
Bhavanyasya
Durlabhe Rite Manorathaha.
Durlabhe
Durlabhe
Man
Rati Manoratha.
My dear child, you are unaware that you were born not from my womb, but of another woman. Therefore, you should know that your attempt is doomed to failure. You are trying to fulfill a desire which is impossible to fulfill. The small child Dhruv Maharaj was naturally affectionate toward his father, and he did not know that there was a distinction between his two mothers. This distinction was pointed out by Queen Suruchi, who informed him that since he was a child, he did not understand, sorry, the distinction between the two queens. This is another statement of Queen Suruchi's pride. So Dhruv, the poor child, he was not even aware that his father has a favorite queen and that he does not like his mother so much. But Suruchi is informing him this.
She said all this in front of the king only to him.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. Tapasaradhya Purusham
Tapasaradhya Purusham
Tasyeva Anugrahena Me
Tasya Eva
Tasyivanugrahena
Garbhe Tvam Sadhyatmanam
Garbe
Tvam
Atmanam
Sadhyatmanam
Yadichasi Nripasanam.
Yadi Sin
Sinipasanam.
If you at all desire to rise to the throne of the king, then you have to undergo severe austerities. First of all, you must satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan. And then, when you are favored by him because of such worship, you shall have to take your next birth from my womb. Suruchi was so envious of Dhruv Maharaj that she indirectly asked him to change his body. According to her, first of all, he had to die, then take his next body in her womb, and only then would it be possible for Dhruv Maharaj to ascend the throne of his father. Something, right?
Yeah, but this is such an insecurity. Though she's the favorite, she has everything. And still, she's just envious of a 5-year-old boy.
Mm.
So shocking. Like, she's favorite. She knows she's favorite. She has everything. King listens to her. And still, so like,
But this is what envy does to us.
hmm,
Envy does that to us. We don't realize how much we have, but we start pointing out.
fault or, yeah, in others.
Yeah, yeah. That's the quality of envy that's in us.
Hmm.
And I think because Suniti is the older queen, right? So Dhruv being the oldest brother to Uttam, so maybe she had that fear, Suruchi, that so then he'll sit on the throne.
Could be, could be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That is, but I'm just showing the nature of the female. Males generally don't have. This is just the female problem everywhere.
Yeah,
But
so
yeah, but even female has got good qualities, like how they are patient,
It's there.
Shama, like
There.
how
oh yes.
passion
Oh
with
yes.
the
Buddhists definitely both have good, but
Mm.
the more is the female.
The envious, no?
हम जैसा बोलते हैं कि एक औरत है जो घर को बना सकती है और वो बिगाड़ भी
Yeah,
सकती है. We
बिगाड़
never
भी
call it for a man because he doesn't have that power. He doesn't have that compassion. Women has compassion. So she can mold her compassion in any way she wants. She can destroy or she can build. It's up to her.
Yeah.
Yeah. बोलते हैं ना गर्ल ही गर्ल की एनिमी होती है.
हाँ, औरत ही औरत की दुश्मन है. तो
हाँ, और क्या
है कि
So we have to rise above this.
yeah, we have to rise. Yes.
And then chanting helps us rise. Chanting helps us to clear the dust of the mirror of the mind.
Yeah.
Helps us to pull out the weeds in our heart. Maitreya Vacha
Maitri
Vacha
Matu Saptanyasa Durukti Viddaha
मातु
Shasan Rusha Dandahato Yathahihe
Swasanrushadandhato yatahi
Hitva Mishantam Pitaram Sanavacham
Hitva
Shantam Pitaram Sanavacham
Jagama Matu Parudan Sakasham.
Jaga
Jagamamatu Pradudan Sakasham.
The sage Maitreya continued, my dear Vidar, as a snake, when struck by a stick, breathes very heavily. Dhruv Maharaj, having been struck by the strong words of his stepmother, began to breathe very heavily because of great anger. When he saw that his father was silent and did not protest, he immediately left the palace and went to his mother. So a child of 5 years old, of course, he's gotten really angry. He's a Kshatriya after all, you know. He has the Kshatriya spirit in him. So he's not just like simply crying and crying. He's gotten really, really angry. He's seeing that his father is listening to whatever the wife is saying. And then I forgot her name, Suruchi, right? Whatever Suruchi is saying, and then his father's not protesting, so means his father's agreeing to all what she's saying. Means really, I have to die and take another birth? Now he's really angry. And he's going to his mother. Tam neva nishvasantam surita dharoshtam
Tamni santam udharo
Udharostham
sunitirutsanga uduhya balam
Suniti
Udharo
Sangha Balam
nishamya tatpara mukhan nitantam
Nisham
Mukha
savivyate yad katitam sapatnya.
Saveyate Yat Katitam Sapatya.
When Dhruv Maharaj reached his mother, his lips were trembling in anger and he was crying very grievously. King Suniti immediately lifted her son onto her lap, while the palace residents, who had heard all the harsh words of Suruchi, related everything in detail. Thus Suniti also became greatly aggrieved. Sotsrijya dhairyam vilala pashoka
So
Dharya Loka
Navagninavalate babala.
Dava Ninada Balate Vabala
Vakyam sapatnya smarati saroja.
Vakyam Sapatya Smarati Saroja
Shriya drishabhaspakalam uvaha.
Shriya Drishada Svakalam
This incident was unbearable to Suniti's patience. She began to burn as if in a forest fire. And in her grief, she became just like a burnt leaf and so lamented. And she remembered the words of her co-wife. Her bright lotus-like face filled with tears, and thus she spoke. When a man is aggrieved, he feels exactly like a burnt leaf in a forest fire. Suniti's position was like that. Although her face was as beautiful as a lotus flower, it dried up because of the burning fire caused by the harsh words of her co-wife. So she's greatly lamenting. Dirgham shvasanti virchinasya param.
Dirgham
Vasanti Virginasya Param
Apashyati balakam ahabala.
Apashyati Balakam Ahabala
Mamangalam tata pareshu mamstha.
Mangalam Parishu Mamsta
Bhungte jano yat paradukkadastat.
Jano Yat Paradukkadasat.
She was also breathing very heavily. She did not know the factual remedy for the painful situation. Not finding any remedy, she said to her son, "My dear son, don't wish for anything inauspicious for others. Anyone who inflicts pain upon others suffers himself from that pain." So she is suffering a lot. She's been greatly hurt. She knows her son is greatly hurt. She knows that the first instinct, our first instinct when we are hurt, is that we want to hurt another. So she's giving him very good advice. Don't wish anything inauspicious for others, because what we are wishing, the bad for others, it will come back to us. We will ourselves suffer from that pain. So she's giving Dhruv a very, very good advice here. Satyam suruchya bihitam bhavan me.
Satyam Surucha Bhavani
Yadur bhagaya udare grihitaha.
Yad
Udare
Grihitaha.
Stanyena vridasya vilajatteyam.
Stanyena Vijatyam
Bharyeti vabodhumitaspatirmam.
Bhareti Idhartas.
Ima.
Suniti said, "My dear boy, whatever has been spoken by Suruchi is so because the king, your father, does not consider me his wife or even his maidservant. He feels ashamed to accept me. Therefore, it is a fact that you have taken birth from the womb of an unfortunate woman, and by being fed from her breast, you have grown up." So she is telling Dhruva her unfortunate situation, that the king does not like her, and because the king does not like her, and because the king is so attached to Suruchi, so that's the reason Dhruva is getting such a treatment. Because before this, Dhruva was not aware of this distinction between that the king is making this distinction between his two wives. So did y'all want to add or say anything about what we have been hearing?
Yeah, just want to say, no mother can bear the pain that is caused to the child, right? So that's why she was also, right, grieving. Suniti.
Yes. Yes. Yeah,
She
mother
was
can't see the
great
pain of
mother.
her child. And yet she's giving such good advice to him that don't wish
Yeah,
bad
such a
for
great
others.
personality that, after going through so much, also still she says, don't think bad about anybody. It's such a big thing for her. Yes.
Yeah.
I think she's really
So
pious. That's why she's there here.
we can see her quality. Yeah.
Yeah,
A
they're
wonderful, wonderful quality that so much she's grieving so much. Her son is grieving so much. It's really a big thing. not a small thing, but yet she's like, don't wish bad for anyone else. That's really something that we can imbibe.
I just remember by
Yeah.
this that even like whenever we were children or even till now, whenever something happens and I go and complain my parents about it, they used to say the same thing. Like, we are children, whom we would go and say, we would just go and tell our parents, right, कि इसने देखो ऐसा कर दिया मेरे साथ, ये सही थोड़े ना है, ये ऐसा कर रहे हैं. And they would just say that it's okay, doesn't matter, please, like, just don't wish के उसके साथ, जैसे हम लोग कई बार बोल ही देते हैं ना, बहुत गुस्सा आता है, we are children and whom we would go and tell, we would tell our parents only कि उसके साथ ना इतना गंदा करा है मेरे साथ, she's so bad, ऐसा ही बोले, no, you shouldn't do that. So by reading this line exactly, I remember that, how nice people were in that age. Even now, few are there, yes, but we are learning that what should be our nature, what we should inculcate in our character. This should be our character. If we want to go back to God, this is what anukul, like this should be our nature. We should try. Yeah, I'm not saying that I'm good, but yeah, we are trying, each one of us. So it just made me remember my parents. Yeah.
Good. Thank you for sharing. Did
And
anyone
like even
else?
Haridas Thakur,
Yes.
he did the same thing. Though he suffered so much because those, the one who beat him, the Bais Bazaar. But still, he was so merciful. He said that, please, Mahaprabhu, just let them go. So that's, yeah,
Yeah,
very
that's the
beautiful.
quality of a devotee. Never wishes for another to suffer. Okay, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, or Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you so much, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.